Hi, I'm here at Castle Stalac. We've already finished our Ask Me Anything presentation. Let me just show you the awesome castle of where we're at. So we had a few technical difficulties at the beginning of the episode, so we're just going to jump straight ahead to once my internet managed to stabilize. So join us there.
All about, Orlanth is 20 pages. It's awesome. It's one of these books you'll want to have.
So I have a live question here. So our kids' question has to wait a little bit, but the live question is, will HeroQuest be continued since the new Rune Quiz is out? And how redundancies will be handled concerning Glorantha?
Okay, so HeroQuest, we're going to be having some announcements on HeroQuest. HeroQuest is, if people may have noticed already, that we have quest worlds up for a open game license. People can do what they want with the quest worlds engine, and we will be coming out with a new quest worlds rule book, which is detached from Glorantha. And basically there to give space and an opportunity for quest worlds to really grow as its own rules light, narrative centered rule system, and Ian Cooper is taking the lead on that. And so we will be continuing to do things with quest world. We just won't be calling it HeroQuest. As for the Glorantha related fluff, one of the things which really I assume what they're talking about is making sure that there's consistency. Going forward, the Glorantha that's been described in the guide, the source book, the RQ rules, the starter book, the Cults book, that really establishes the framework for consistency in future books.
I think that's also now more or less answered, isn't it? That live question here about Game Master should know about proof. You do not put dates to say.
No, I'm not going to talk about dates. Come on, let's have some more questions here.
So, Lunars.
Normally, this is the point where I get to point at people and say, I like your questions more. Okay.
So, there's a big question. Will there be some Lunar-based supplements?
I sure hope so, because I've been working so much with the on the Lunar Empire. Even have the structure of a couple of Lunar campaigns, and have a pretty good idea what I would like as the structure and outline in a Lunar book. It's right now, it's pulling together the right team of writers that I know can carry this over the goal to get the bulk of the writing done, so that I can then throw in a lot of the details and work on the cults. That being said, there is an entire gigantic section on the lunar cults, lunar religion, and lunar magic in the cults book, and that'll be out early next year. So that plus the material that we put together into the guide will get you a long ways forward on doing lunar related material.
Okay. Will the R2 Classic PDFs get a pod option?
That is not really a question for me. This is, by the way, this is part of the joy of this being a live presentation. One quick second, so while I ask people to leave. One moment. Sorry about that, everybody. We had technical difficulties as I had to get a number of small kids away from being curious about this interview going on.
They were hungry.
They were hungry. That's what happens with kids. All right, let's go next.
I would actually put the next question a little bit more in a broader range. It is actually about what is in the pipeline for next year, and the difference between the English versions of publications and translations you have into Spanish or in Polish. I know some things are sometimes added or changed. So will things be retranslated? How you handle these things?
Okay, well, that's a really broad question.
This one is about Spain, but I know in other languages you have actually the same thing that the translators or they change a few things?
Well, anytime that you translate a book from English into another language or from another language into English, to some extent you're creating a new work. A good translation is rarely just a literal translation of the words. You um, so you often will edit material that works really great in English, but might not work so well in Spanish or in French or in German or vice versa. And in general, we usually have, well, ideally, we have the same licensee for all of our lines. But in some cases, we have one licensee handles our Cthulhu editions in that language, another licensee handles RuneQuest, another handles Pendragon. So that each licensee has their own approach to what they think works best in their language and their national market. And so there's sometimes going to be differences between those.
But there's no retranslation planned. Like if they add something in a chapter.
Sometimes it kind of depends. I mean, there's been some really fantastic Polish material developed for Call of Cthulhu. Some of that we've actually already begun translating. I've been looking with happiness and glee with the work that Philippe Haribo has done for the new French RuneQuest. They've added some new content that I'm actually interested in publishing at some point in English. You know, it depends on what it is. It depends on how well it would work in English, and it depends on our pipeline for that particular product line. So, I guess the grand answer is it depends.
Okay. So I have another one of the live questions, and then I would actually go back to a few questions we have prepared.
Yeah, sure.
Because otherwise we have kids hopping around and they do not get their questions answered. So this is No Mew Meow HQ but Quest World, which is a storytelling center. Different rules for being on the other side then.
So, different rules for being on the other side. Okay, I've got to admit I'm confused by that question. So I'm maybe the person who asked the question about different rules for the other side can provide some clarification. So I do not know the answer to that. So instead, I'm going to go to the next question that's in the list, which is what?
What next RQ product will be in print? And then I have a very important other question.
Okay, the next RQ product in print will be the starter set. And this is similar to the Call of Cthulhu starter set. This is a box set that is everything you need to have to be able to start up playing RQ. So it's got the rules. It's got the Jonstown is the setting. So it's got a Jonstown setting book. It's got a solo quest in it. It's got a beginning adventure and then a follow-up adventure. And it basically has you teed up to be doing in a place where the next thing to do is then buy the overall RuneQuest rules. Mm-hmm. So I'm really excited about the starter set, and that will be the next thing in print.
Okay, now I want to go a little bit back, and because this is a very, very important question we had this morning at the breakfast table. What is cooler, Cthulhu or the Crimson Bat?
Cthulhu or the Crimson Bat. I'm going to be really the Cthulhu. Great Sleeping Cthulhu, of course, is the pop culture icon that we deserve in this day and age. But I have to say, and maybe this is just because the White Bear Red Moon played such a big, had such a big role in me getting into role-playing games. I got to say, I think the Crimson Bat is cooler than Cthulhu. And if you ever compare the stats for the Crimson Bat and Cthulhu, the Crimson Bat can definitely kick Cthulhu's butt.
And what's with Dark Trolls and Deep Ones?
Oh, Dark. Again, this isn't fair. Give me one. Give me one where I get to go with Cthulhu. But come on, Dark Trolls or Deep Ones. Dark Trolls are way cooler. Way cooler.
Okay, so we actually got the clarification of the other question we had before, which you couldn't answer properly. So the questions about HeroQuest and Quest World, the asker meant if there would be different rules when questing in Quest World instead of HeroQuest.
In Quest World, the thing about the Quest World rules is you'd never need to have different rules for anything in Quest Worlds. It's that's the incredible strength of the mechanics of Quest Worlds. Is all you're doing is you're mechanically following the narrative structure of the story. So you have it really isn't a mechanical issue at all in Quest Worlds. Now in RuneQuest, what are the things we're really looking at carefully is how you generate the hero quest itself, story behind it. Because one of the complaints that I've always had, and this going back 20, 25 years, Greg can bring it back 40 years, is that hero questing was always a pain because you as the GM had to create the myth first. Then you had to provide enough information to your players on what that myth is for them to be able to navigate it. And only then could you actually get to the point where, and now we can game. And that creates this huge front-loaded information hurdle that at best means that you have to have players and GMs that really are thinking about how Gloranthan mythology works. And at worst, it ends up where you give them a script and they repeat the script, and that's not tremendously fun. And so Chris Klug and Jason and I have been working on a way to make it much easier for GMs and players to create a hero quest, to get involved in it, to have this mythic thing that I am interacting with the world of myth without having to know anything more than what's in the core books for RuneQuest. So I don't know if that answered the question, but that's what I'm doing with it.
Okay. So the next question is actually about the Pavis and Big Rubble book Robin is writing for you guys. So what's the stat on it? And for the old Pavis and Big Rubble book, will it be on print on demand or not later on when the new one is out?
Okay, so Robin is charging through and finishing up the Big Rebel book, and actually we're play testing that campaign right now, and there will be this is the current Chaosium house campaign that we're calling the White Bull. Claudia is one of the players in it, as is Neil Robinson with Chaosium, and we've got Richard August and Philip Glass and Linda Borden. I got everybody in there, right? And that is going to actually be coming to Twitch TV at some point. We've recorded a whole slew of the episodes on this, and that's going to give an idea of what goes on in Robin's book. Naturally, it being a Chaosium house campaign, there's been big portions where it's wandered off script and into its own happy direction. But in Robin's big Rebel material, it takes place after Pavis has been raided, and it really changes the feel and of Pavis and the Big Rebel, because you're no longer sitting around under lunar occupation. You're the occupiers. And in the White Bull campaign, Argreth is a really important NPC in this. But you guys are off right now. My players are off as petty lords, part of the have made themselves petty lords and part of the rebel,
yep.
Allied with a worm from the EWF, and are dealing with an undead problem on Blind King's Hill, right?
Yes, right.
Yeah. So zombies, and it's fantastic fun.
And deadly.
And I think, again, I'd have to look at the website, go up and check out on the chaosium.com site. But I thought you can get the Big Rebel book, the old RQ Classic, as a POD already. I think you can. Maybe it's not up yet, but it should be up pretty soon.
Okay, the next one is what is actually your favorite Gloranthan myth and what is your favorite earth? Because you brewed a lot of earth myths for Glorantha, we know that, and mix them and shake them and create something new. I mean, what Greg did as well.
I mean, my favorite Gloranthan myth is, at the end of the day, it's either the Lightbringer's quest or it is the goddess quest, the red goddess. I think both of those are amazing contributions to fictional mythology. I think both of those are stories that resonate on a level much greater than just a role-playing game or a fictional setting. I think both are just amazing myths in their own right. And which one I prefer basically depends on whether I'm writing about the Glorantha or I'm writing about the Lunars at any given time. The favorite Earth myth that I have, I mean, the Earth myths or the cycle of the Earth goddesses are largely about how the world is created and populated. You know, this tremendous outpouring of fertility and growth and creation that then is to some extent ruined or at least damaged by the fight, the gods' war between the various primarily between the male deities, Orlanth, Yelm, Zarak, Zaran, Magasta, and others, and how in the Earth cycles, you basically have the Earth goddesses trying to tame these destructive forces and make use of them. So, and I may have wandered off there because I don't know if that answered the question, but hopefully
it's a great answer. So I want to jump to that question because it fits actually, I think. It's there. What will be the angle of the upcoming Big Dragon Pass campaign and an actual campaign with adventures to play as it is, or more of a historical toolbox for GMs to develop their own campaigns? So
I would say both. It's very much, it's, you know, one of the things that I was always influenced for how big campaign arcs ought to be put together is, of course, Greg's Grand Pendragon campaign or Boy King. And you know, those campaign books were a combination of this is what's going on overall in the big picture of the setting year by year, or in RuneQuest it would be season by season. Here are the important battles that are taking place. Here are some big events that your players can participate with and make a difference in one way or another, or be involved in. And then here are some adventures that where the players can be in the driver's seat that fits these events going on right now. So it's got a historical overview, but it's also plenty of entry points for play. And again, the model for that is Boy King and the Grand Pendragon campaign, which in my opinion are the best built campaigns of all time.
Okay, I have one question only to make it now clear. There's still some confusion about the rules for HeroQuest, for Quest World, and for RuneQuest in Glorantha. So it's so how do they align? How they're different?
Okay, so we will be coming out. Yes, we're going to be coming out with the Quest Worlds book, and that's the rule set for Quest Worlds. But then we also have RuneQuest Glorantha. Mm-hmm. And then we will have HeroQuesting rules for RuneQuest, which is not HeroQuest Glorantha. So how those things fit together, unless I'm misunderstanding the question, which is, of course, always possible.
Okay. So I like that one here. If you and your family could do vacation in Glorantha, where would you go?
It's such a dangerous place.
It is very dangerous. But actually, I just, because I saw the question before, I actually have an idea.
Where would you like to go vacation?
I would actually go to the horse people.
Oh, the
Because,
Gracelands.
you know why? Because I know Bolton very well. I know Paris very well. I know actually Wintertop very well from gaming. I know Notchet very well. But the horse people area is something.
And you like horses.
And I like horses. That's actually where I want to go and see because I do not know it that well.
I mean, some of the places I would love to go and see. I would love to see. I would love to see Notchet. The food is awesome.
The food is awesome, but there's so many politics. I mean,
yeah, it gets dangerous. It does get dangerous there. I would love to go to Bolton. I'd love to go to Bolton. I mean, architecture, I imagine it's about as beautiful a city as you could have in the world. I'd love to go to Glamour.
Oh, Glamour, but that's also weird. I mean, the one session you had in Glamour was really weird.
Yeah, Glamour's a very strange place, but it would be. I mean, it would be cool. You'd have to be in the right mindset for this. You know, it's basically like wanting to go to Studio 54. You know, who knows? Maybe you know, you may end up hanging out with Mick Jagger and the Red Emperor, or Debbie Harry and Jariel. You know, who knows?
Who knows?
But man, I would. Glamour would be an awesome place. I can tell a lot of places I wouldn't want to go.
Which is?
I don't think I would want to go to Alcoth. I certainly wouldn't want to go to Duraster.
No.
Snake Pipe Hollow. No, that wouldn't be a lot of fun. You know, actually, there's some parts of Prax that would be pretty cool to go to as well. I'd love to see what Tato's High Tumulus is like in the. I
would like to see the Jonstown Library.
Well, the Jonstown Library, that would be. There's a lot of places in Glorantha that clearly we would like to vacation in.
Okay, so last year, Nicole, you were telling Sword and Gold about Cthulhu sessions you played the night before, where you and your character was in total denial of the weird events involved, even cooked ones to NPCs. Will you retell that story?
Oh yeah, this was a fantastic session that David Larkins and I played in. It was run by it was run by Paul Fricker. Everybody listening, I need you guys forgive the background noises. We are in a castle, and that means lots. Yes, and it's a youth hostel. That means lots of interesting ambient noises from loud people. So anyways, with that in place, I just need a brief moment. And okay, I think it's now better. In this one, Paul Fricker was running a game, and it was myself and David Larkins and Matt Ryan, and there was another player, and I can't remember her name, but it was fantastic fun. And I was playing a guy who, you know, it was I think it was set in Santa Fe, and my character, everything that was going on, kept saying, you know, I've seen weirder than this. And I basically denied. My character kept making sanity checks by basically denying that there was anything that strange going on. And when one of the characters who had more or less figured out what was going on started ranting about crazy stuff there, my character ended up punching him in the face to shut him up. And we ended up ignoring the mystery entirely and had so much fun doing this. And poor Paul was so frustrated with us. But it was a great session. We had an absolute blast. And I've got to admit, from time to time, that's really fun to do in Cthulhu, is to play the high sanity characters as the guys that remain high sanity because they are convinced nothing that weird is going on. And Greg Stafford and I used to, when we would play in Sandy's games, we'd usually play characters that more or less ignored the storyline. And God, we had fun. And I wouldn't do it every time because that gets disruptive, but it is a hoot to do from time to time.
What is your favorite Jonstown Compedium product?
Oh gosh. Okay, my two favorite are either Seasons in Sartar by Andrew Lloyd Montgomery, or the Rough Guide to Glamour from Nick Brook, Chris Gidlow, Mike Hagen, and company. mean, both are absolutely fantastic products that I am so impressed with. But I have to say, overall, I've been very impressed with the quality of material and contributions to the Jonstown Compendium. I mean, it really, I've been amazed by the outburst of creativity.
Mm-hmm. Anything upcoming on Glorantha East and West?
I assume that they're talking about the questioner is asking about Crowlerella and the Gloranthan West, the Malchione. We actually have a fantastic Crowlerellan manuscript that is ready to go into editing. I just don't think that now is the best time to push to that, because there is no good way for your characters currently in Dragon Pass and Prax and the Holy Country to be able to get over to Crowlerella, which means that it is an entirely new setting. I would prefer to wait until we've come out with the Notchet Book, which opens up the rest of the setting more broadly. Now, I've been working a lot on the Malchione. I've been working an awful lot on the Invisible God, which is not, the Invisible God is not in the cults book, in part because the Invisible God is very different from the other cults that are presented in that. And also because it ends up swallowing, it would end up being the tail that swallows the dog, in that it is so big and so rich and requires so much cultural information and information on sorcery, etc., to really present correctly. So that'll end up being its own book. And since we don't currently have a vehicle for that, I have the luxury to be able to noodle around to get the Malchione and sorcerer's cultures right before we do a expansion out to the Malchione. But we have plans on both of them. It's just, I will tell you this much, the lunar book, I want to get a lunar book in before I do either of those.
Mm-hmm. You just said there is a Notchet Book.
Oh, yeah.
That in the beginning, so maybe you want to tell people something about Notchet Book.
Yeah, so we've got a team putting together the Notchet Book. This is all based, it's based out of these maps and gazetteers that Harold Smith and I put together a few years back. And they've been turning in and creating adventures and encounters and playable material out of that. And we don't have the final manuscript hasn't been submitted yet. I'm hoping that that's going to be not too far off in the future. Because I would really love to get a Notchet Book out next year. Notchet is it's a city that I've spent a lot of RuneQuest and HeroQuest time in, and it's played a big role in our previous HeroQuest campaigns. In our RuneQuest campaigns, it's a very important city for the RQ campaign arc, and you know, it's the biggest city in the world. It's got it's the cosmopolitan commercial center of the world. And from Notchet, what's great about it there is the rest of the world opens up because you can take a boat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the next one will be there a revision of HeroQuest Glorantha and or new HeroQuest Glorantha material?
We don't have anything on HeroQuest Glorantha currently in progress.
Okay, then the question I have here is, a lot of mainstream games have a GMing guide. Book explaining how to write and prep adventures called Cthulhu Specials in regard in many ways, one of which is the fact that it's adventures and mystery investigations. Do you want to publish something like a guide for that, for game masters to prep?
I mean, one way of looking at it is that the Keeper's book itself contains a tremendous amount of material on prepping for investigations, how you run Cthulhu scenarios, etc. I mean, just an awful lot in that, and then also in the starter set. But it's always worth looking at. You know, is this something that would make more sense as a standalone publication? Now, that being said, we do have plans for doing that for RuneQuest. So this is something that Jason is working on, the RQ Game Master Companion.
Mm-hmm.
deals with precisely at that, but for RuneQuest. But it's worth looking at the idea or noodling about the idea of doing that for Cthulhu. What else do we got here?
Give me a second. So, oh, that one is a good one. What do you think of doing the Nibelungen Slate as a Pendragon campaign? How would you do it?
Oh, so this is, one of the things that Greg and I talked about years ago was how cool it would be to do the, how do you say it in German, Nibelungenlied?
Lied der Nibelungen.
Lied Nibelungen.
Der Ring der Nibelungen.
Yeah, the ring cycle, the Volsungssaga, and doing that as a Pendragon setting and Pendragon campaign. I think that would be awesome. But what I would love it to be addressed at is, rather than it be purely historical or purely based on the Nibelungenlied, it's like how Pendragon is the Arthurian monomyth. And so one of the things that I am most impressed by what Greg did in Pendragon is he managed to combine pretty much all of the Arthurian myths into a single monomyth. So you've got you've got elements of the historical early or late 5th, early 6th century going on there. You've got the Mabinogion, you've got Mallory, you've got the once and future king in there, you've got Excalibur, you've got you've got all of the stories that we all have, and it's combined into a single monomyth. And I would love to see the same thing done with the Nibelungens League. You can have the 13th century German version of it. You can have the Minnesaga versions of it. You get Wagner's. You can throw in the Volsung Saga from Iceland. You can have the Aetius versus Attila the Hun and the fall of the Burgundar. And all rolled together. I think it would be an absolutely awesome campaign. I would love to do it. Now I just need somebody to pitch it to me.
Yeah.
I think I've given you guys the basic overall story idea, though. So,
do you want to say anything more about the Pendragon plans you have at the moment? I mean, since we are just in Pendragon's land.
Yeah, I mean, I am incredibly excited because I've been working with David on the 6th edition material, and so the focus. 6th edition, the default starting period is the Boy King era, young Arthur. Arthur has pulled out the sword. We now have the knights of the Round Table. You have all your classic elements of your Arthurian campaign, but it's set around that chapter, that section of the Grand Pendragon campaign, which means you as a GM are able to push this in your campaign in a direction and have your characters participate in these events right from the start. And one of the big things that David and Greg have done is they've refined the battle rules so that the battle rules are much more about what your player knights are doing and experiencing in battle, rather than trying to figure out what the result of that battle is. And I'm very, very excited about it.
I have a question here which we have already answered. Will be there a starter book for RQ? Yes, there will be.
That starter book. So the starter book is the starter book for RQ. Or the Sartar Home, I believe it's the Sartar Homeland book or Sartar Homeland Guide, something like that. Jason has a better idea how these things end up getting named than I do. And what it has in there is how to make a Sartarite character, how to create your clan, how do tribes function, how does your clan work, the cults, the history of Sartar. It also has information on all of the tribes of Sartar, and a complete gazetteer in greater detail than the old Dragon Pass Land of Thunder. I mean, it it's basically everything you need to know about Sartar.
Very good. So something very, very different. The Red Thread of Fate board game Kickstarter, does it come back soon?
Yes.
It just hit the coronavirus.
Yes, we just have to wait until things calm down on coronavirus. And right now is a difficult time to be doing crowdfunding campaigns because a lot of people have things that they are concerned about. And a lot of these Kickstarter campaigns are what?
Look into the camera.
Oh, sorry. A lot of these Kickstarter campaigns are having difficulty taking off right now, which is totally understandable. This is people are concerned about other things, but when things calm down, we definitely plan to relaunch Red Thread Fate.
Mm-hmm.
So don't worry. It's an awesome game too. Okay,
now somebody wants to have advice from you, Jeff. I'm working on a Jonstown Compedium project in Australia, something that doesn't interact with Notchet. Do you have any advice?
Well, there's the Great Temple of Ronalda in Azel. There is, I would love to have somebody do something on Arigos, the city of the Demiurge. There's also quite a lot. Once you go further inland towards the Old Forest, towards the Aldrayami, you have rural Israelia, where you have you have a less urban culture that has been that's more in contact with the Aldrayami and have been were badly damaged by Grey Mange raids. There's a lot of areas in Israelia that are really worth the attention. I'd love to see something about the New Crystal City or Arkat's Hold or Israelia's Home or lands to the northwest of Israelia, which is basically the more tribal rural parts of it. Go nuts with it. Israelia is as big of an area as Sartar is, with almost 10 times as many people. So there's a lot there to do with.
Mm-hmm. We talked in the beginning about Kalar Starbrows and her Lightbringer quest. What's that? Do you want to talk about it a little bit?
Yeah, so this is the Kalar's Lightbringer's quest is a key part in the RQ campaign. And so when Kalar Starbrow is acclaimed Prince of Sartar shortly after the Battle of Dangerford by the tribes, there is conflict about this, and some of the tribes are more enthusiastic than others about her becoming prince. Starbrow puts the resources that she has available by being prince into trying to arrange for her to perform the Lightbringer's quest. And this forces her to get virtually every tribe and every major Orlanth temple in some degree of participation or not. And, it's an event we all can play in. Your players, what we're doing with it in the campaign book is for your players to have some involvement in this, where they can maybe aid her or oppose her. But also gain some magic or some secrets or some allies out of participating in this. We know that how this ultimately ends is in the final culmination of the Lightbringer's quest, where Kalar is supposed to destroy a polluted idol of chaos. Jariel appears in the middle of Lightbringer's quest and causes holy havoc, and all hell breaks loose, and the quest is a complete failure. But another about this is that this means that Kalar really isn't able to create a independent support for herself as prince. Instead, she's putting all of that resources into trying to do the Lightbringer's quest. And when it fails, she's in a horribly weak position afterwards. And she is also, most of her most loyal companions are dead, killed by Jariel. and is able to hold things together until she dies a few seasons later at the Battle of the Queens. But the Lightbringer's quest really can be seen as that's really the the point where Caller's new regime or new princedom in Sarder, that's where the wheels fall off it. After that, it is she is broken after that, and it's a cautionary tale to players because player characters always wanted to do the Lightbringer's quest, and it's basically a cautionary tale saying, you know, if you screw this up, it's not a good thing.
Nope, it's not. Otherwise.
Okay, so you know, so one of the things that I would love to get moving again is Barbarian Town, which is a book that Sarah Newton started drafting and putting together, and hopefully, you know, Sarah's had a very a lot of personal stuff going on in her life, and we're hoping that whenever she's ready, I would love to have Sarah jump forward and push forward on Barbarian Town, because the stuff that I've seen that she's put together, it's been awesome.
Mm-hmm. I mean, looking at the time, I think that's actually a good question because we are coming to the end time-wise.
Sure.
So many people, so many new people tried Conquest during the lockdown. And do you have any advice how to play actually online?
Yeah, my advice to newcomers is, first off, it's really easy nowadays to get together a group because you don't have to physically be in the same time, the same city. And it's like, for instance, our group has the only people that are in the same city are Claudia and I. Otherwise, the rest of our players are scattered all over Europe. And it's one of the great things with Zoom or Roll20 or any of the other fantastic applications that are out there to be able to do remote gaming. But the other thing I would do is just start with something small. In none of our games, not even in almost all of our games, we start with some event that you don't really need to know an awful lot about Glorantha. The White Bull campaign starts with the players being there, sort of there. Yeah, we start with, right? You don't need to know why the battle is going on that much. Your characters are there in the battle, and it moves forward from there. Other ones you can start in a village with a cattle raid. Start small. Just build your knowledge and exploration of the setting. Build it together with your players. Don't try to cram everything in at once. It's just like if I was doing a game. Think about it like if you were doing a game set during the Civil War, with Caesar and Pompey and Crassus and all of those. I wouldn't try to have everything crammed in about the Roman Empire in the first session. Do it like they did in the old HBO Rome series. You start with Titus Pullo and Varenus, and you're two soldiers, and you're doing soldier stuff, and then build from there. Glorantha is broad and deep, and a lot of places you can go with it. Explore it. Don't try to do everything all at once.
Okay, I think.
Do we got anything else here? We've got our
something which. No, that's actually all.
Okay,
Let's see if I have something here. You talked already about the game, so you can have some live ideas, which will be online pretty soon.
Yeah, so we will be having the White Bull campaign. That's going to be going up live relatively soon. I think it still needs some editing, and we have some artwork that's being worked on it. But that should be absolutely fantastic. And
Is a God learner secret? No, no way.
But anyways, that's going to be going up. That's going to be going up very, 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 very soon. We got one final question that's going to go in, and some wag out there, some clever wit wants to know what the God learner's secret is.
It's a secret.
It's a secret. And then, by the way, that's one of the things that I think is important is settings should have secrets that everybody tries to figure out. And I know what the God Learner secret is. Greg knows what the God Learner secret is. I know a few other people and manipulating it to your advantage. You know. So, anyways, with that, I think we've got our panel presentation or seminar done. Thank everybody for watching us, and this was great fun. Hopefully next year I will have an actual audience allowed to participate in it, and maybe we'll do this again on Twitch as well.
Do you want to show the pictures of the castle?
Oh, just to make everybody jealous here, this is where we are. I'm just going to put this up for anybody watching. Oh, here is the castle that we are staying at here. In fact, if you look at the lower left-hand part of the picture, directly above the gate, you can see the little the curved arch of the main gate. That's where Claudia and I are staying. So that's our place.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, thank you guys for participating. Thank everybody for watching. And now it's time to go and find yourself a game. Get online and play some RuneQuest or Pendragon or Cthulhu or 7th Sea or any other fine Chaosium product. Thank you guys.